Play the video right now.
Yeah, I will play the video.
Hi everyone, welcome to Arbilink Hong Kong. 大家早安. I'm Shin, the APEC Community Manager at the Arbitrum Foundation, and I'll be your MC for today. We're thrilled to have you here with us for an exciting day ahead. Our packed agenda includes programs like executive roundtables with industry thought leaders, hands-on stylist workshop with off-chain labs experts, and conclude with an evening of happy hour. Before we begin, I'd like to extend our sincere gratitude to our co-sponsor, DGFT, for their support in this event. And now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Ed Felton, co-founder and chief scientist of Off-Chain Labs, for our opening remarks.
Thanks. It's great to be back in Hong Kong. I'm very happy to see all of you here, excited for what's going to happen here at Arbilink. When I started out as a young computer scientist, Hong Kong and China seemed very far away. And having grown up in a small city in the center of the US, I didn't have much direct experience in meeting or interacting with folks from this region. But when I became a new faculty member, I was lucky professor, I was lucky enough to do that at Princeton, and I got a chance to meet some amazing Chinese computer scientists. I learned very quickly what the Chinese computer science community is about. In fact, my first mentor as a faculty member, as a young 28-year-old professor, was Kai Li, a Chinese computer scientist, very distinguished, who grew up here and was trained in the mainland. And Kai really taught me how to be a scientist and how to think about not only how to do this work, but how to do it in a way that thinks about the broader world. I also was very lucky at Princeton to have as not only my office neighbor, but as my home neighbor, Andy Yao, a very distinguished Chinese computer scientist who, and one of the first things I did at Princeton, I think, was to go to a party celebrating Andy winning the Turing Award, which is sort of the Nobel Prize for computer science. I also learned a tremendous amount from him. And Andy, of course, has emigrated back to the mainland and is now one of the giants of Chinese computer science research. In addition to all of that, thanks to having Kai and Andy and other Chinese computer scientists at Princeton, we had this amazing pipeline of super talented Chinese students. Some of my earliest experiences, I think the first scientific paper I wrote as a professor was co-written with Chinese students. And so at that time, I really learned to appreciate the Chinese computer scientists and to start to think about the pool of talent and of energy that exists in this region. As we started to grow Arbitrum, we realized that really the success of a technology like this grows out of the community, and that community is international. And so we're excited to be here to be launching this this Arbilink event. This is a 3-day event where we're going to bring people together to connect and collaborate and learn. It's all about building bridges to each other. It's about building bridges between the local and the Chinese language Arbitrum communities and the rest of the worldwide Arbitrum community. We've heard loud and clear from folks here that you're interested in connecting to the Arbitrum world, and that we need to show up here, and we as an Arbitrum team need to show up here and develop those relationships and to help foster the growth of Arbitrum in this region. So the team designed this 3-day event to be packed, to be focused on builders for the greater Chinese community and Web3 thought leaders. So we're excited to be here and to be carrying out these events. Another piece of news that I'm really excited to be talking about here is that today here in Hong Kong, we're launching the Mandarin Ambassador Program for Arbitrum. This is the Arbitrum Ambassador Program is a worldwide initiative to have ambassadors, as the name would suggest, ambassadors for Arbitrum in communities all around the world. We currently have 132 active ambassadors in 5 countries globally. The ambassadors create online content. They host events and meetups, developer workshops, and generally work to drive awareness of and adoption of the Arbitrum ecosystem. So Greater China today becomes the 6th region, together with the Philippines, to launch the program today, further building out the growth of Arbitrum into this community. So those of you who are joining on live scan, you can scan the QR code to find out more and apply. All right, that's all from me. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Thank you, Ed, for the warm remarks. We'll now move on to the first program of the day, Executive Roundtable on Policy Meets Innovation, Navigating Hong Kong's Role in Global Crypto Investment and Infrastructure. I'd like to invite John, Head of Korea at the Arbitrum Foundation, to take the stage as a moderator for this session.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'd like to call up on the stage Stephen Goldfeder, co-founder and CEO of OCL. Yeah. And Josie from IOSG, founding partner. And Gavin from SNG, Chief Investment Officer. Okay, guys, please sit. Yeah. How are you doing?
Good. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right. So I think we'll go right into questions. But before that, can you guys introduce yourself and what you guys do for Arbitrum ecosystem? Steve?
All right. Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you so much. It's a very great honor to have Arbitrum team here. So I'm Gavin. I'm Chief Investment Officer for SNZ Holding and SNZ Capital. So for SNZ, we have been in the industry for roughly 10 years. We backed Vitalik and Ethereum since day one. We used to run large developer community in Great China. We focus on community building, incubation, and also investment. We invested like Arbitrum at early runs, and we are thinking them is a very promising projects, since several years ago, and we continue to work with them on partnership, ecosystem building, and all the stuff. It's because I'm based in Hong Kong, so I'm very excited to have the team to come to Hong Kong, Asia. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm Josie, founding partner of IOC Ventures. IOC Ventures, we are the first crypto fund invest in the future Web3. Yeah, so we are the CC-driven fund and helping founders to build the community-driven protocol. Yeah, and we also invest in Arbitrum around 2021. Yeah, and in the past 3-4 years, yeah, we have several conversations every year and quarterly with Stephen, with Ed. Yeah, so I'm so great to see them just come to Hong Kong and to see what happened in the Hong Kong and what happened in the Apple market. So thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Steven. I'm co-founder and CEO of Off-Chain Labs, and together with Ed, who you just met a few moments ago, Arbitrum began as an academic project for me when I was a PhD student at Princeton, and really saw it through from its very early stages as an idea to being published as an academic paper, all the way to being commercialized in a company, launched on mainnet, and up to today. And this is actually, I just got off the plane this morning. This is my very first time in Hong Kong, so super excited to be here. But fortunately, we have really excellent people that I've known for a long time that have been, representing Arbitrum and helping Arbitrum grow in Hong Kong. And that includes everyone here in the room, but of course, our friends at SNZ and IOSG and other funds who took a bet in Off-Chain Labs and the Arbitrum ecosystem early on. So really, really great to be here today. Feels like it's long overdue. And what I can tell you, even though it's a little bit late, it won't be my last time here. I'm excited to be here today and to continue to engage with the local community here.
Nice. Thanks for that, guys. And I'd like to ask a bit more about Hong Kong and where it stands in crypto market. I think Hong Kong is reopening to a lot of the crypto projects and exchanges as well, and investors. As Hong Kong positions itself as an emerging hub for crypto, what do you think is Hong Kong's advantage in terms of investment and technical development?
Yeah, probably I can take this question because I just share a little bit more background about myself. I used to work for UBS for nearly 8 years, and my entire career was in Hong Kong. I focus in fintech and business services industry. So even I major in finance and law, and nowadays I even also serve on the subcommittee for Hong Kong Web3 like advisory board. So I think I can share a little bit more what I observe. I think for the advantage of Hong Kong is like, first of all, Hong Kong is the intersection of Eastern world and Western world, right? As everyone's aware, like in this era, like the world got a little bit more isolated, which means like intersection in that sense could be even more important. I mean, so like for Hong Kong connecting domestic China, for developers, for kind of investors, for builders, there's very lots of resources, and also connecting the rest of the world, free markets, like money, like more capital, etc. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing in Hong Kong is a good, because Hong Kong, everyone is aware China has a one country, two schemes, right? So which means in Hong Kong, it's a common law. And also the legal framework is more accessible and more much easier for foreign investors to understand. Which means to give you an example, right? So in Hong Kong, the government is very supportive in terms of like a legislative process. They have already issued the exchange license to OSL and Hashkey, and there's several of the others like getting the VATP license. And the stablecoin legislative bill has been reviewed for first time already. We are about to get a stablecoin license to be issued within this year. So there are lots of very constructive progress we can see in Hong Kong. I think they could, boost the confidence for all the people to participate, like all the activities in Hong Kong. I think the last one I would say, Hong Kong is very open-minded and energetic. Also, like essentially, you can understand Hong Kong needs kind of a new assets and new capital as well. Because Hong Kong used to have 3 pillars of a kind of industry, right? So if we like the ports or like the finance, the real estate, maybe also like a little bit like consumer products as well. But like recently, in past few years, Hong Kong got its own pressure as well, which means that Hong Kong needs more kind of breakthrough in innovation, etc. That's the other kind of internal incentive for the government to kind of to be more supportive, right? As people are aware, like Duncan Chu and Johnny Ng, and also from the Legislative Council perspective, and also from government perspective, it's very supportive. So I will encourage all the friends here or also online to come and see. Yeah, and of course they have a huge Arbitrum community.
Yeah. Gavin, he's the expert here in the Hong Kong policy side. Yeah, so I just throw out his I like to say Hong Kong is the pretty romantic and a very lovely city. Yeah, I living here around 4 years. Yeah, and I also worked so many projects and founders. They just moved to here. Yeah, so I like to bring some different perspective. Yeah, from the investment perspective. Like more project side, how they grow here in the past 3 to 4 years. Yeah, so I just write down some notes. Yeah, so I have to watch my iPad. Yeah, so maybe you guys also know so many new projects they will happen in the Hong Kong. Yeah, recently we discussed a lot about the SaaS application and the to consumer application. Yeah, and the one very famous we discussed recently is like GMGN and Kaito and DeepSeek and Manus. Yeah, we are pretty familiar with GMGN's story in the past. Yeah, they have gone from beta universe and then Pernis. Yeah, always covering the tools and the products the user really did. Yeah, in the past several years. And GMGN right now they rack in over 50 million revenue. Yeah, so it's pretty large milestone. Yeah, and Kaito on the other hand, yeah, they just took 85 days, yeah, from launching their product and to their token TGE. So it's also very interesting, yeah. Yeah, and but it took them at least 3 years for Kaito to look for the PMF. Yeah, and finally they only spent 85 days to get the product, deliver the product and the token. Yeah, and then we just look back to the iPad projects. Yeah, and Kaito is very similar like Galaxy, Project Galaxy. Yeah, they have the similar targeting product and the community. Yeah, so they built from 5 years ago. Yeah, like Galaxy, and both are very focused on the attention economy and good PMF and demands. Yeah, so we also keep talking about some other Asian projects like the bank and Pendle. Yeah, so which have really seen in recent years. Pendle has introduced a ton of innovations in restaking and DeFi, becoming a bit of dark horse in this cycle. Yeah, which the bank, they just released the Rabbit Worry, and they have so many users recently. Around 25% of the EVM Worry, yeah, they are in the Rabbit Worry. Yeah, so most of them, yeah, they are the iPad team, and most of their team members around in Hong Kong, yeah, in China. Yeah, so the common three among all these projects, yeah, is they are run by the Chinese teams. Yeah, so at IOC, yeah, we have invested in Asian teams around in the past 7 years. We have invested so many Asian teams here, and they numbers are only going to grow. These Chinese founders have a serious commitments to building products. Yeah, and the Chinese founder have the very different staff's environment. Yeah, maybe most of you guys come from Western. You don't know what happened for Chinese founders. Yeah, they're very damaged. Yeah, for their staffs. Yeah, how to build the staff because the Chinese government they banned the crypto. Yeah, so most of the founder they have to move from their hometown and leave their family and to start from the new country like Hong Kong like US and so I'm sure so they will be very commitment to build their product and so usually their path either lead or to fail or an incredible success story I like to say.
Thanks, Josie, for sharing that. And I think that's an incredible story of like how Asian builders are up and rising right now, and Hong Kong is a place to build. It seems like. Steven, can you share a bit more about your connection to Hong Kong, Greater China, with the IOSG and SNG guys, and how you guys have been working together on the Arbitrum ecosystem as investors and builders?
Yes, absolutely. So, just generally, if I think about crypto in general and what we're trying to do, one of the big things that we're trying to accomplish, not as Arbitrum only, but really as a community and as a philosophy, is trying to increase accessibility, increase interconnectedness of the world. Like today, we have financial systems. I live in the U.S. and the financial system basically works, but when you try to innovate, that's where you start hitting barriers, right? So walls go up, and it's very, very hard to innovate in the existing financial system. If you want to do things that are cross-border, if you want to export your technology, whether that's local equities or that's even just moving dollars cross-border, you start running into lots of intermediaries and lots of I'll call more archaic processes, and sometimes these processes add weeks or more to doing simple things that we can do on a blockchain in seconds in a single transaction. So one of the main motivating things for me generally is not to say, hey, we have this good technology, let's build something locally, but to say, how do we build this in a way that we can export great innovation from all over the world? It's not only saying, hey, let's take the US equities and bring them here. It's say, let's take excellent products. You mentioned Pendle. There are so many amazing innovators that we work with that are based in Asia. And how do we, and actually even our teammates, we have some of our best engineers based here. How do we bring that innovation to the rest of the world as well? So this cross-pollination of innovation, which is so important to me. That's why early on, even before Arbitrum was live as a product, it was super important to us to make sure that we were well represented in these different markets. And it was clear back then in 2018 to 2021 when we did our initial raises, and as clear as it is today, that Hong Kong was one of those really, really important places that we need to be represented and make sure that we are connected with the absolute best. And that's who we have sitting on stage with us today. So we made sure to connect very early to this ecosystem and are only continuing to invest. Ed mentioned the ambassador program early today. We're continuing to invest and trying to strengthen the ties both with large investors as well as individual students who can all contribute to the greater Arbitrum vision and ultimately to the interconnectedness of the new financial system.
Thank you.
Sorry, John, can I supplement to one point here?
Yes.
So I just want to share a very interesting small story, just like 2 years ago, like during Web3 Festival time. And that was the first Web3 festival hosted in Hong Kong, because initially that was kind of a Wanxiang blockchain festival in Shanghai. So back then, Ed and Steven, unfortunately, couldn't make it to Hong Kong, but they did two kind of a video. We invited them to do kind of a video presentation on the main stage in Web3 Festival. And during the 4 days, like Arbitrum surged for 45%. Well, that indicates that indicates several things. First of all, it's like everyone is very kind of bullish about Arbitrum. Because if you remember, like 2 years ago, it's just kind of the time we initially launched the mainnet, launched the token, and it's like the tag wise, and so so although like an early stage, but it's budding. So everyone has a very good so has a lots of expectation. And secondly, I mean, in Asia there are large community. It's like because like you got lots of buying demand and supporters from the tech from investor perspective. The last point, it means that still maybe we are back then we were not we still need more awareness in Asia, right? Otherwise it cannot be a huge like jump, right? If you since then we have been, but just like John asked about like the connection with Asia, etc. Since then, I mean, Arbitrum and Foundation of Chain Labs and everyone have been working together for lots of things. And finally, we got Steven here. Hopefully, this could be a very productive and effective trip.
Absolutely, yes. It's great to finally be here. And actually, I didn't mention before, but that was before we sort of launched a product that we made sure that we were well represented here. But actually, if you looked at or even early numbers of Arbitrum, transactions and Arbitrum activity or was happening, it was very, very clear to us early on that Asia was a strong point of Arbitrum community adoption and Arbitrum activity. And that's something that actually made us very, very proud. I used to joke, I don't think I've ever said this publicly, I used to joke that there were like only like 1 or 2 areas in the world where Arbitrum is not the most popular. There were 2, and one of them was in like Silicon Valley, right? Because we really never played to that like US-centric game of like, hey, let's try to like play the game. We really always wanted to branch out and say, how do we bring this to the rest of the world? So ironically, it was in our own backyard where maybe we're not the preferred solution, but globally, I think that's where we really, it was a priority for us to build the network and build the community. And it's great to actually be here in person this time around.
Yeah, I think, for me, when I joined Arbitrum as well, it was hugely getting like popular in Asia. First, I think it was a wave of like fanatics that's following Arbitrum, and I think we sort of started the airdrop season as well. So yeah, it's a great community story. And going back to the community stories, Steven, I want to ask you, what other supports that Arbitrum as an ecosystem is providing to the builders, and especially there are things that we are providing to the builders in like Greater China or Hong Kong. Can you like just highlight a few?
Absolutely. So one of the things that differentiated Arbitrum in the early days was the builder support that we gave as an ecosystem. And actually, if you look back to 2021, this is the era where some of the biggest Arbitrum giants emerged, where GMX came from nothing to one of the largest projects in DeFi. The Arbitrum protocol didn't have a token yet. There was no token, so there were no like chain grants. There were competitors that were giving literally billions of dollars in grants, but somehow Arbitrum was attracting the strongest builders in the ecosystem, and people would come to me and expect me to have the answers and say, why is that? So of course I had to figure out the answer or make it up. But actually, the real reason is because I think it's because of the support that we gave to builders. Arbitrum started off with a fair launch, which basically meant that all builders were on the same footing, that nobody got unfair advantage, and everyone was on day one of Arbitrum launching, every builder was welcome and everyone was already set up, because the way we did it was we launched Arbitrum to developers in May of 21. 3 months later, we launched to builders and we gave developers wide access. But people said, so what is it? Why is Arbitrum succeeding and not giving any grant money? And their answer was, I think, the builder support that we gave. So from the very, very first days of Arbitrum, we had Jason on our integration engineering team, who was giving direct support to the local community, to the local community here. He's based in China, but here in Asia broadly. We invest very, very heavily there from our builder support. Today, fast forward a couple years later, the Arbitrum DAO and Foundation does exist. They do have grants, and those grants are also, have a very large focus here as well. We have Patrick McCory at the Arbitrum Foundation, who's based here in Hong Kong as well. So we really have a strong presence from the top levels of leadership in the foundation down to the lowest level on the ground, people doing the most important work. The Arbitrum Ambassador is a great example of others doing that work to really make sure that we're investing in the ecosystem. And actually, even more broadly, if you have some idea of something we could be doing, I'm here this week. We have Ed's here this week. We have plenty others as well. Let us know how we can directly support. That's the best ideas we have come from people on the ground. So if there's an opportunity that you feel that we can be doing more here, we want to hear about that and help invest more in the ecosystem in the region here.
Fantastic. I want to build on Arbitrum as well. So this is more for Josie and Kevin. What areas do you want to see this great Arbitrum builders building on, and what kind of investment verticals are you guys looking into at this moment in time?
Yeah. So we also discuss a lot internally, because we also heavily supportive for the layer 2 space, but as well as we know, for Ethereum, the country, most of the guys pretty bearish about Ethereum. So for layer 2, how to look for the next mass adoption apps is very hard. But I remember when we started investing, 2017, we pretty believe about the Fed protocol thesis. So we invest everything at protocol level. And it's not only for token. We trust, we believe protocol can catch up the value. But right now we try to, we are not sticking anymore. Infra. So we try to do something in the application side. So the first thing we believe is the Web2 clients SaaS application. So we just talk with some projects. They provide some decentralized data service for the AI, for the Web2 AI unicorns. And their revenue in the past 1 year around 50 million. It's also very exciting. It's the Web3 project, and they build on trend. And it's very fantastic. So it's the Web2 SaaS model. We have seen. And we also really believe the 2C, to consumer side application. So in the, I like to say, to Web2 side and the to Web3 consumer side, there's very interesting different paths. Like FriendTech and Farcaster pumping up in the, they have some good tractions. They just built around, you guys know FriendTech. They just ranking the revenue 24 million, and they has around 1 million users. And PandoFund is sitting at around 600 million in revenue. And Polymarket, they has around 20 million revenue. So we can assume there might be something similar to Binance in the Web3 space. Most of you guys know Binance in Web2. They have TikTok. They have like 今日头条. They have so many apps. So in the Web3 side, we have something similar with Binance in the iPad in the Hong Kong. So how to look for this, the next good generation apps in Arbitrum is very important. So I think the talent dynasty for application consumer development in China, in Greater China, is incredibly high. But right now, Web3's influence in China is still pretty limited. So it's not quite enough to join the top tier talents yet. So we all know about DeepSeek and menus come from China. Right now, what Web3 really lacks is strong application. I'm super bullish Chinese founders in depth in application, in SaaS. They are focused on finding product market fit and innovating beyond what's currently available. I think Arbitrum should be more aggressively, it's promoting better consumer apps and or SaaS apps, on trend, and looking for some market-driven strategy, to really catch up on these things. Additionally, the Arbitrum Foundation can pay more attention and trust more, in the Chinese community and product team, yeah, like how to bet more, how to deploy more, how to allocate more, yeah, capital in this market. That's very important, yeah. So they have got the potential to have Arbitrum secure, yeah, the next ticket, yeah, to mass adoption, yeah.
So from our perspective, like very high level, we got two investment thesis. The first one is about digital asset as an alternative asset class. The penetration wallet share are picking up, which we think is an inevitable trend, which is already happening like since 2023, like when BTC ETF got recognized. Right? This is the most big kind of a step like in this cycle the industry has achieved. The second thesis we're having is more about like tech innovation and business model innovation, which may bring kind of a generational, structural opportunity for the entire industry, similar, i.e. like from Web 2 to Web 3, right? So for the first one, we think is happening, is very feasible, and just when, where, who can benefit. The second thing is that we think still need more efforts for the entire industry to pay more efforts to be more patient, to build longer. Internally, we have three sectors. The first one is called infra. Like Josie had mentioned, like we all have been heavily investing in that space. We think it's to some extent like we need to. It's not like a rely on kind of building on future, building on dreams. Like since we have already developed a certain very good infra, we need to focus on how to make the best use of those infra. And the second sector we have internally called is like a financial related, includes DeFi and CeFi. Which are our current focus and also my personal focus. Given my background was in traditional fintech, I listed most of the Chinese Asian fintech unicorn in Nasdaq, NYSE, and Hong Kong Exchange. We think this is very feasible and there is a massive opportunity. I will circle back to this. The last sector internally we call application and content. It's focusing more on emerging apps, which we think is super important, super interesting, but like still needs a bit more time, and also especially needs also like Josie pointed out, like needs like top founders coming, like giving them more time, more patience to go through the cycle to build more. I think for the second part, the financial related stuff, Arbitrum has every advantage for both DeFi and CeFi, right? And also, DeFi, my personal 2 cents is like Ethereum has a huge advantage about given like a decentralization. That's the guarantee for security, right? That's the reason why most of DeFi still happens on Ethereum. And also Arbitrum is a leading kind of a layer 2 in the DeFi space. And we are expecting more kind of an innovation opportunity here. Also, Josie mentioned like Pendle. Pendle is definitely doing good, even in a bad market. Even you are looking at the operational stats and financial stats, it's very, very impressive. So we believe there are more and more kind of existing players could play good. And also, like we've seen a newcomer like on the Arbitrum system, or even for the CeFi space, right? I saw like Henry here, like Thomas here, DigiFit, LOX, I say all are very close partnerships. So we also bridge the discussion with Arbitrum. Like they are definitely doing fantastic job, like bridging the Web 2, Web 3, bridging the DeFi and the CeFi stuff. Or we used to introduce like a UBS to work with Arbitrum, used to Blue like stablecoin. I mean, there are lots of very good things happening on the CeFi world. I think because just now John was asking Stephen what's the advantage of Arbitrum. I think in addition to developer support, I think Arbitrum has a very kind of it's a comprehensive closed loop support even beyond like we call like DGen blockchain developers, but also like a traditional financial institutions. Because Arbitrum is the seldom who can speak the financial institutions language, who can convince them to really adopt that in massive steps. Well, that's my thought. Thanks.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I agree with all those as well, but I would say that, particularly on the last point, Arbitrum is in a very unique position because we have something actually that no other stack has. We have, this top blockchain called Arbitrum 1, right? The chain that like the public chain where all these DeFi protocols are launched, and you have institutions like BlackRock and WisdomTree and Robinhood all have public partnerships with Arbitrum, as well as the most, DGen crypto native communities as well. And then we have the stack called Arbitrum Orbit, which is also a top stack where others can actually use this to launch their own chains. You have over 100 chains that are building today, including some really incredible communities like Horn, ApeCoin has ApeChain, Azuki has Anime.com, and there's this dual strategy where you have both a top blockchain where anyone who wants to use a public infrastructure can use, as well as a top blockchain stack where anyone who wants to take the next step to actually build their own blockchain can also customize their chain, is really unprecedented. But the thing that actually ties it all together for me is, and the thing that's super unique about Arbitrum, is if you look at any other ecosystem, who are the beneficiaries of the community programs? Often it's like a foundation or it's some development company. But Arbitrum is unique in the sense that the on-chain token holders, the DAO, the treasury, actually is in full control. It's in full control of the technological decisions. Just a couple of days ago, the DAO decided to vote on Time Boost, which is a new transaction ordering policy that will collect MEV for the DAO. Completely decided by the DAO and completely voted on, and that's what makes it's self-executing. So the DAO actually has the power to make that technical discussion, but also on the financial side, both on the incoming transaction fees and otherwise, all the fees that go to the Arbitrum network don't go to the foundation, don't go to some company or some investors, they go to the DAO. Right? To date, the DAO has collected over 20,000 ETH in fees that sit in the DAO treasury. And on the outbound side, it's the DAO token holders that get to vote where that goes. So it doesn't happen in backroom deals. Right? The DAO decides exactly where its funds go. And there is the Arbitrum Foundation, of course, which has its own budget. But actually, and maybe I shouldn't publicize this, but the DAO even has control to remove and replace the directors of the Arbitrum Foundation. So it's an experiment in decentralization like no other, and really in control of the community. And I'll give one last example. There's something called the Arbitrum GCP, which is a gaming fund, which is very, very controversial in some circles. So I won't get into that too much today. But actually, if you look at the structure, it just compounds this image, completely. So you have, on the one hand, you have many ecosystems have gaming funds. And what is the point of a gaming fund? To say, well, it's to make the ecosystem gaming, take off and spur innovation in gaming. And if the gaming fund hits 100x bet, that's great, because now you brought this great game and all these users to the ecosystem. And there are many, many ecosystems that have these gaming funds, but the Arbitrum one is completely unique because that's true. But then you say, well, who is the beneficiary? So if the gaming fund has 100x bet, sure, the ecosystem does well because there's a big game there. But who actually gets that return? Who gets that 100x return? In every single other ecosystem, whether gaming or otherwise, it goes to investors, it goes to maybe the company, maybe their investors. In the Arbitrum ecosystem, there's one LP of the Arbitrum Gaming Fund, and that is the Arbitrum DAO token holders. So it's a growing business that's diversifying and actually building the on-chain DAO treasury that directly accrues to and is controlled in the token holders like no other. And that, to me, probably is the uniqueness of the protocol that really make it stand out from just about any other ecosystem.
Wow. So if you are trying to build on a truly decentralized ecosystem, truly community-driven, it's definitely Arbitrum. Yeah.
I would say so.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. We are up. We are up. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Then I'll just get.
That was a very insightful discussion. Thank you, John, and all of our panelists. Now, moving on to our next panel discussion on Arbitrum and the future of RWA, opportunities and challenges. I'd like to invite Ryan, head of APAC at Off-Chain Labs, to take the stage as the moderator for this session.
Thanks, Jin. Hey everyone, excited to be here to be talking about Arbitrum and the future of RWA, some of the opportunities and challenges. So with me, we have folks across the RWA vertical, trying to solve some of the different issues within the value chain. So we have Henry, who's the founder and CEO of DGFT. We have Thomas, who's the head of digital asset and family offices at China AMC, as well as Alexander, head of SC Ventures for Hong Kong. So without further ado, I would love to give the panelists some time to introduce themselves. But before that, maybe a quick introduction as well on how we thought about, coming up with this panel. So RWA has been a huge driver for us from an ecosystem perspective. So when we look at RWA in 2024 for Arbitrum, when we started off the year, we had less than 1 million in TVL. And fast forward to end of 2024, we grew that to over 115 million in TVL. Today, on my way here, I know I was checking out our Dune dashboard, and we have up to 250 million in TVL. So we have a lot of high quality assets that are coming on chain today, as well as different asset classes from treasuries. We have private credit, and also some of the alternatives such as real estate. So yeah, to kickstart, maybe Alexander, you could give us a quick introduction about yourself, as well as what excites you in the RWA vertical.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me today. So I'm Alexander Deschat. I'm heading SC Ventures in Hong Kong and for the GCNA region. And I'm also in charge of the business development of Libera, the tokenization platform incubated by SC Ventures. My background is very TradFi. I've been 20 years in the bond origination and structuring space, and moving to the amazing RWA space for the past 18 months, 2 years. And really, to answer your question around the excitement is really what tokenization is allowing each and every one of us to do. You can be the actor of your own wealth management going forward, and having structured bonds for many, many years. When I look at all the intermediaries, the inefficient steps along the way, moving from a trust-based system with a custodian, someone who can certify the ownership, you're moving to the truth-based system. And I think that's, for me, the best thing that can happen there.
That's amazing. And next up for you, Thomas, curious on how you guys are looking at it from an asset management perspective, and also what excites you most about the space.
Yeah, thank you, Arbitrum and Ryan's invitation. So as one of the largest asset management company in the region, we're committed to the Web3 development in Hong Kong. So since the launch of the STO circular by the SFC, we have been working very closely with our partners from Standard Chartered Bank and Libera on tokenization. So on February 29th this year, we launched our tokenized money market fund. So it was the first retail tokenized product launched in Asia. And it's very significant because for the mass adoption of the RWA, you really need to face the retail market. And facing the retail market requires the local regulatory approval. So also includes a lot of the ecosystem needs to be licensed. So we are helping the ecosystem to be regulated and to launch something commercial. So we're very proud about Hong Kong's development, and we're also very grateful for our partners' contribution. Thank you.
What about you, Henry? What excites you? And could you give us a quick introduction as well around like DGFT, what you guys are working on?
Yeah. Good morning. DGFT is in a marketplace. You can call it exchange. I founded this company 4 years ago. From day one, decided on 3 key positionings as a marketplace. Number one, DGFT is in a digital marketplace for now called RWAs, not cryptocurrencies, go beyond cryptocurrencies. It's the real assets now called. Number two, in terms of technology, DGFT is an on-chain exchange. That's why we have a very close collaborations with Arbitrum. On-chain exchange have another name people call the DEX, decentralized exchange, which means we are deployed on public chain non-custodian. So the investors can bring their own wallet, connect to DGFT, and keep their money in their wallet. And of course, we're all working on a public blockchain. We call the open exchange on open network. Number three, in terms of as we are dealing with security tokens, RWAs, it is a regulated product. So this business must be regulated to a certain extent. So DGFT is a licensed on-chain exchange for RWA. In terms of the licensing, we are the first one in the world get the license from a tier 1 regulator in the world. We first get a license from in Singapore, 2 licenses similar to Hong Kong 1 and 7. So we have a primary market and we have a secondary market trading. And just last month, actually 3 weeks ago, we got the approval in principle in Hong Kong for our type 1 as well. So we are operating are going to operate in Hong Kong with under SFC license, and we're already operating in Singapore. And also, as Ryan mentioned, in terms of deploys various RW assets, DGFT is probably one of the leading one in the market in terms of how many products launched, and we have almost 2.5 years in operations. Recently, we also launched a private credit, one of the fund issued by Invesco, one of the leading asset manager in the world. We deployed this private credit fund token on Arbitrum.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the RWA vertical, something Stephen likes to say is be it DeFi, RWA, we envision a future whereby we just call everything finance.
Yeah.
I want to understand from the speaker as well, and maybe we'll start with Henry. What are some of the opportunities and challenges you see, from being a regulated player in the space? How do you think, for DGFT's perspective, how can you guys capitalize on that?
Yeah, I would say 2 things. One is we are dealing with regulated financial products. If we go beyond cryptocurrency, even cryptocurrency as an asset, more and more jurisdictions, in more and more jurisdictions, it's become a regulated asset. Then the RWA, no matter the treasury, funds, and others, they are regulated financial instruments. So when we're doing RWA, bring on chain, you cannot avoid this topic of being regulated. And I think being regulated also has a lot of good things. But of course, being regulated, we need to take care of a lot of other things. But it's for the big good. So dealing with the regulations, always when you get supported, you get a blessing. But on the other side, you need to so-called fulfill your obligations and responsibilities. That's one thing. Second point I want to maybe contribute to this discussion is when talking about RWA, more and more people agree on the direction, but we are all confused or even frustrated about the slow adoptions as of today. Then I would say RWA tokenization will be 3 stages. Number 1 is tokenization. Number 2 is distribution. Number 3 is application. Tokenization is relatively easy. Why? Because it's a more technical thing. It is not very complicated technical work. And tokenization does not need a license. So entry barrier is low. But number 2, coming to the distribution you need a license. Distribute and a financial product, you need a license. And the current discussions are all around the distribution. No matter BlackRock is selling the Build, and we're selling UBS, UMint, we have a China AMC as a product we need to sell. It's the distribution. But as of today, actually distribution is not a big phenomenon, no matter who. Because why? Because the people will ask, why do I buy a T-bill? Why do I buy a money market fund in a token way? There are some immediate use cases like a replacement of deposit, etc. But the people just don't feel very excited about it. So should go to the phase 3 is application. In other words, is why do I use these financial instruments in a token way? How can I use it? That will be the next phase. I think the developers, including us, are exploring and try to bring some solutions to the market. But I will save the other discussions the later part of the panel.
Yeah, thank you, Henry. Now, what about you, Thomas? from a perspective of an asset manager, what are you guys hoping to solve for, and what are some of the challenges that you have experienced?
Yeah, I think as Henry just mentioned, tokenization is a commodity right now. In Hong Kong and in the world, we have a lot of tokenization technology providers. However, I think the key kind of benefits or key inputs of those companies are the comprehensive solution that they can put together from the upstream of the smart contract to the custody and all the way down to the distribution, whether it's on DeFi or on centralized platforms. I think who can provide that comprehensive strategy will win the market. And I think our very closest partner, Standard Chartered Bank and Libera, I think they are a great team. So they are our solution provider when we launched our Asia's first retail tokenized money market fund. And I see that the trend is going forward. So you need to provide that a comprehensive solution. And for Arbitrum, the different blockchain providers, I think their input is also quite important because they can find the ultimate use case. As what Henry mentioned, the third important part is the application, right? So whether the tokenized assets can be used as treasury for the foundation, for the stablecoin issuers, or it can be used for on-chain yield parking and on-chain wealth management. And seeing a lot of those applications, their first contact is actually the public chain, right? So I think for Arbitrum, those type of public chain, they also have a very important position in this whole ecosystem. And for us, we are the issuers. The issuers here is important because the brand and the trust is extremely important for Web3 from the DeFi to TradFi integration. So for memes, right, you are chasing for the speculation, right? However, for the tokenization, you want the certainty and you want the safety. And for larger issuers, we bring the years of experience and also the trusted platform and the whole management procedures. That gives the comfort to the different holders. So I think we all give the ecosystem an important element for the ecosystem to grow. Yeah.
Thank you, Thomas. And maybe Alexander, from you, SC Ventures has been very involved in the digital asset space with Zodiac Custody, Zodiac Markets, but also in your role with Libera. What are some of the opportunities you guys see as a tokenization platform?
Yeah, no. Maybe also looking at the previous questions and the angle from the distributor, from the asset manager. I've been involved and very closely worked with Thomas on the China AMC retail tokenized money market fund, and you can see also that from a bank's perspective, and that's where Libera can enter into play. Tokenization can solve many of the challenges that the banks are facing. Looking at the very traditional side of the equation, you have fund administrator, transfer agent, distributor. All of those players have their own record ledger, their own record keeping systems. And the bank is at the center of that, trying to reconcile. And I think with tokenization, you can really solve for this type of data fragmentation issue, and hopefully have on one single ledger a transparent vision of your holding. So I think that's something that tokenization will enable, and that will solve a lot of the issues that the banks are facing today. Obviously, the settlement efficiency is also something that we are all aiming for. China AMC, the T+0 is very efficient, but most of the assets out there, traditional or even in the tokenized format, are not instant settlement. So the blockchain and the tokenization will allow that type of efficiency. So I'm very bullish also in terms of all the issues that the traditional world is facing that could be solved with tokenization. So yeah, hopefully Libera can contribute also to that.
It's amazing. So we have heard from the panelists in terms of what are some of the challenges that you guys are seeing, and how they are looking to address this. But also I noticed from our speakers, there are different assets that they have issued. So for example, with Libera working with the Wellington team to launch Ultra. Thomas shared earlier that they are launching the world's first retail money market fund, as well as Henry, who talked about the Invesco private credit fund. So now to dive a little bit deeper, could you share with the audience, who are the target market for some of these tokenized products on chain, and why would they purchase some of these tokenized assets instead of going through the traditional route? So maybe Henry, you want to talk a bit about the Invesco product first?
Yeah, happy to pick up this question. The tokenization of RWA is at early stage. The future will be talk about trillions, right? Now it's billions. You can say billions is very small, but from billion to trillion means 1,000 times upside. So people get excited. When the things start is, we start with a money market fund, like many players, money market fund, T-bills. I think it makes a lot of sense. Two things. One, it is a simple, straightforward product. You don't need many education on the product itself. People understand. Number two, this is the product, is the raw material or the fundamentals for many other products. That's why the T-bills money market fund has trillions, tens trillions kind of a supply in the traditional market. There's a need. Just like Amazon, when they start with, what do they sell? Amazon only selling books. That's why make Amazon today. If Amazon from day one started selling seafood, they probably fail because the ecosystem has not been there. The delivery cannot be there. But the books, you're selling 3 days, 30 days, it's still a very nice book. So now the things looks like a repeat again, but in a big way. Financial RWA is starting with these products, simple, straightforward products. But it quickly evolves, go to other products. Like Ryan mentioned, literally last month, we together with Invesco launched this senior private credit fund. It is still a fund, but the underlying is not T-bill. The underlying is so-called the private credit. You can talk about it's loans. It's loans to the company. Usually the loan is provided by the banks, but in the market like the US, a lot of loan is provided by the so-called the private lenders. Those called the private credit. It is a trillion level market, and the Invesco is a leading name in the industry. Introduce this product, allow the investors to enjoy higher return. This is not investment advice. I need to make it a very clear disclaimer, but this is public information. This fund as of today, year to today, I don't know today, not really today, what happened tonight. But the fund year to last Friday, the return is 7.3%. So you have increased some additional yield above the T-bill. But of course, you take some extra credit, but managed by a professional fund manager. If you trust Invesco, they need to promote hard why you should trust Invesco. Then you get in additional credit. But this is a tier one asset manager. So they do have some good features. They provide a daily liquidity, which means you can buy and sell every day. So you can make in a token. We can increase the accessibility, but it's still not good enough because this fund is a T+5 settlement. It's a daily, unique in the world, but it's a T+5. Some investors coming to us say, can you guys, in a token, can you do T+5 seconds? Can you trade on weekends, like 24/7? I think this is a very legitimate ask, and also possible because things make on token on a chain like Arbitrum. It enable possibilities in terms of 24/7 T+2 settlement. But there's a couple of steps need to be fulfilled before we can announce to the market, say, let's do 24/7.
Thank you, Henry. And what about you, Thomas? For the retail money market fund that you guys launch, obviously the target segment is retail, but is there a specific customer segment that you guys are looking to tap into when you guys launch this fund?
Yeah, so we are very optimistic about the Hong Kong stablecoin ecosystem that's soon going to be launched. So for stablecoin holders, they need a yield parking place.
Yeah.
So our product is designed and targeted for this group of audience, so that later on, when they open the wallet, they pay for their taxi bill, right? For any remaining inside of their wallet, they can instantly get the yield. So I think to provide that the facility for the users is very important. In mainland China, we have Ant. They have a yuebang. It's a trillions of dollars product, and we think in the stablecoin era we'll have something similar. So that's one of the target the investors. And the second would be the different licensed crypto exchanges investors. So when you send in the stables to trade, the stables won't generate any yield. But by purchasing this money market fund token or collateralize that money market fund token, you will be able to enjoy the trading side of the alpha, the upside, while enjoying the underlying asset yield, right? So that's the second group of investors. Lastly, I would say a lot of the family offices nowadays, they have the crypto portfolio. But within the crypto portfolio, for example, in last 72 hours, people are very risk off. In that period of time, I don't think anyone gonna off-ramp their stable to fiat and put it in a bank to buy stocks. No, what they're doing is they are selling their cryptos and then parking with stables and waiting for the opportunities to buy, right? So when that opportunities come, we want to provide that yield for those kind of trading-oriented investors.
Yeah.
So those are the just three that we think is the main target. But obviously, it's a retail product. We can do marketing. We have been doing marketing, and we can face a lot of different users. So we're very we're a big believer of this huge adoption and the growth of this type of product. And we also have a lot of strong partners working with us to working on the distribution and also to design the, I don't want to call it derivative, but it's a kind of a mirror or wrap token type of version of this underlying asset. So if we look at the Ondo in the US, they are a wrap token of Builder, right? So we launched the Builder type of product, and then we're looking for and working with different Ondo type of partners. And if any of you are interested, we're happy to engage.
Thank you, Thomas. And great point you brought up about family offices looking to move to a more like risk-off holding stables, and how timely, especially with all the volatility we have seen this morning. Yeah, maybe next to you, Alexander. So with the Wellington product, we have seen quite a number of tokenized money market with the BlackRock Fiddle, Franklin Templeton's Benji. But was wondering if you could share, what are some of the unique differentiation? I know I've heard it a couple of times, but if you could share with the audience on who are these users, customer segments that you guys are trying to target as well, and how is this Ultra product different from what's out there?
Yeah, so obviously, so the Ultra token is a product that Libera developed with Wellington, so the well-known asset manager in the US. We are working with an asset manager in Singapore because Libera is not a licensed company. So FundBridge is actually issuing a sub-fund that Wellington is sub-advising, and the strategy is managing the US Treasury. So Wellington is doing what they do best, managing money, and FundBridge and Libera are doing the tokenization piece and the distribution to professional investors. So contrary to the China AMC fund, the Ultra is professional investors. So from a distribution standpoint, we try to target a similar client base. So obviously, stablecoin issuers are the go-to place. Crypto exchanges are also current holders of the token. But obviously, what we try to do also with the Ultra is to differentiate among all the tokenized money market fund. And Ultra is actually the highest rated. We rated the token through Moody's, S&P in particular, and proud to say that it's the highest rated tokenized money market fund out there. So that's also a differentiating factor. Maybe not so much for the Web3 investor, but more and more traditional investors are coming on chain. And to Thomas' point on the family offices, you see a lot of the next gen coming to crypto from the cryptocurrency standpoint, but more and more to test the water with the RWS. So you will have a huge transfer of wealth in the coming years, and RWA will be a strong recipient of that wealth. So not only you will have pure Web3 money coming to those type of products, but more and more traditional money that will grow TVL on those assets. So yeah, that's for me the great thing. And to Thomas' point, I think the great opportunity of token is the mobility. So you can transfer token from one listed investor to the other. I think going in the permissionless world is the next phase. So hopefully, in collaboration with Thomas, we will be able to find ways to bring these permission-based tokens into the more DeFi environment.
And that's actually a great point and a great segue to the next question I have. So with a lot of these RWA assets today, these are like permission-based, and you talk about trying to move that into a more permissionless DeFi ecosystem. So maybe I'll start with Henry first. So I guess when you guys are looking for which like ecosystems or infrastructure or chains to launch on, like what are some of the consideration? Is it more of a technical consideration, or do you guys look more from like an ecosystem? I know you spoke earlier about having the application layer as well. Like how important is that for you guys at the GFT?
Yeah, this is a very important question. Actually, it's a challenging question. It's when we're moving tokenization, like the people like Libera is very expert on that, can deliver. We have a distribution and also have a product, right? We have a China AMC, we have an Ultra, we have a Invesco UBS. Things are ready, but it's not a phenomenon yet. It's about how to the go-to-market, the product go-to-market. That's the question about. How to answer that is, I think Thomas also mentioned something I already totally agree. We need to look at when we move RWA on-chain, called RWA tokens. Why Web3 people, Web3 means the people holding stables, and the Web2 people means they're holding fiat currencies. Why do they want to buy those RWAs, just say money market fund, in a token way? I have partial of the answers. I welcome other inputs and also from the audience. One, first of all, I'm a firm believer about RWA has a bright future. Definitely will come. Just a matter when. Why? Because RWA, especially institutional grade RWAs, has some unique features which crypto assets does not have. Don't have. Number one, most of the crypto assets do not provide sustainable yield. I would call the native sustainable yield. The asset itself will generate cash yield. Most of them no. They are volatile assets. They are tradable assets, but does not provide sustainable yield. A lot of real world assets is even like as boring as T-bills. They have a 4%. Number two is talk about secured. Because RWA has a challenge. You need to do wrapping. You have RWA off-chain, you need to wrap it. It looks like a disadvantage, but also it is an advantage. Why? Because you have the assets off-chain, and the token is just a certificate on-chain. So even the token has been stolen or hacked to a certain extent, the off-chain part is still there. So you still have a way to put a stop there. so-called secure. So sometimes disadvantage is advantage. Number three, very, very important, institutional grade. Institutional grade. So no matter Alex talking about the Ultra, it's institutional grade. And the China AMC, very institutional grade. UBS and the Invesco, they're all very institutional grade. It makes a lot of sense. I just making a small bet today, say now the market is very volatile, right? You see, once the market become very volatile, you will see some funny things happen. It's a test. It's a stress test for the quality of the organizers. So there's a weak quality organizers. Funny things will happen. So some projects will go busted. Then you will see because it's not very well managed. So-called very well managed is so-called institutional grade. So this volatile time is a testing time. So institutional grade, secured, sustainable yield. That's something RWA has, but the general crypto assets does not have. So that's a match. That's a match.
Thanks for that, Henry. Very insightful, and especially around like the consolidation that you expect to see in the market.
Definitely, consolidation will come again. The downtime is a consolidation time.
Yeah. And maybe next up, Thomas, we have seen the likes of like Biddle that are like multi-chain, Benji as well. Curious from the perspective of an asset manager, what is the direction that you guys are taking when it comes to like chain expansion?
So China Asset Management was established in 1998 in Beijing. It's one of the earliest mutual fund issuer in China. And we came to Hong Kong in 2008. So it has been over 17 years, right? So in these 17 years, we have built our asset management portfolio from 0 to 2.8 trillion RMB. We're the second largest asset manager in Greater China and also the largest ETF issuer. So from the ETF perspective, we own about 25% of the market share, and the second place is about 10%. So we dominate in this world of ETF. So from the ETF to the tokenized fund, our view is very simple. We want to provide a diverse tool of products to the investors. The trend nowadays, investors, they have their own pick of different type of assets. We launched the Asia's first, and right now is the largest Bitcoin spot ETF last year. We also launched the world first Ethereum spot ETF last year. So by offering those products, we provide the tools for investors to access the markets, whether it's traditional markets or the crypto markets. So our view is in next 10 years, we're going to grow our portfolio, maybe double, maybe triple, I don't know. But the goal is to duplicate what we have in the traditional markets, the ETFs, the money market funds, and all the way mirror that to the crypto world and put that on chain. So that is the strategy we're taking. We have been leading the asset management industry for the last 20 years, and we'll continue believing in innovation, and also we believe in the new technologies. So the next 10 years, I think, will come from different ways of thinking of investment. The investors will have more options and choices, and the products will be more global and diverse. So that's why when we launched our tokenized money market fund on the 28th of February, in a week, we already registered that in Singapore. Right? So we're talking with Henry and DGFT to distribute that to other regions. And we also have plans to expand that to Middle East, as well as other area. Same as our traditional products. We have that in Hong Kong, and then we distribute and register that in different other regions. So I think for the crypto products, the tokenized products, the speed will be faster. And with the trusted partners, I think we can achieve that mass adoption. And from the west side, you saw Fidelity, Wellington, BlackRock, they all have their products. But from the east side, we are the first one doing the retail product. And we hope that we can help the ecosystem to grow. So we're also sharing a lot of knowledge with our peers. And we want to elevate the whole market into the blockchain era. So stay tuned, and we will have more products and more exciting news to share.
Very excited for that, to hear what's coming. And
Yeah.
Last but not least,
No,
Alexander.
I think we are not competitors. Obviously, we built the Ultra token with Wellington, but we are contributing with China AMC.
You can both list on DGFT.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we are currently doing, by the way. So the whole idea of this ecosystem is to grow the pie, and the bigger the pie, the better for everyone. So you said around Beetle going multi-chain, and I think Ultra was launched on mainnet first, but we're also looking at expanding to other chains. And looking at the various chains, and Arbitrum is one of the next that we will deploy on. It's not just a technical decision, and I think looking into the hood and really looking at the differentiating factors between the chains, you see that it's really a strategic decision. When you go there, I think Steven mentioned around the community and the governance, which is something very important. But the technical maturity of the chain is key. So you need, as a institutional grade token, you need something that is reliable, that can manage vulnerability. So that's for me something that is key. And the depth of the ecosystem, I think, and the capacity to connect to stablecoin issuers, to oracles, to wallet. You need to have your token in a global ecosystem, not just on a digital island and remote from everything. So that's what I'm looking when I'm looking at additional chain. And I think Arbitrum can clearly help us grow that ecosystem.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback, Alexander. That's super helpful. And maybe the last question for the panelists, and I want to switch gears a bit, talk a bit about regulation. So we have folks here that are regulated in different jurisdictions. We have heard about the Hong Kong stablecoin bill. There are also some of these regulatory sandboxes that are coming out. So when we look at RWAs, how are you guys navigating it? Maybe starting with Henry, in a multi-jurisdictional environment. Is the approach to get regulated in every jurisdiction, or are you guys thinking of potential partnership in jurisdictions whereby might be too far from your home base?
Yeah, quickly, I would say number one, you cannot avoid regulation, especially even RW definitely cannot avoid regulation because it's regulated activity already, very well defined. But even the crypto assets, native crypto assets, some will be regulated to a certain extent. So you cannot avoid that. But on the other side, we do encourage regulators, and the regulations will evolve itself to accommodate the innovations. We totally understand regulation is behind innovation, not another way around. You cannot expect the regulation ahead of innovation. No, always innovation, then regulations come along. So we are patient. But on the other side, we do see the regulators are coming along. Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, even US, right, Europe, they're coming along. That's very good. Very different from 24 months ago, even 12 months ago. But it takes time. We just hope they can be quicker, because everybody wants to be quick. Everybody wants to be quick. So this is the first point. Second point, I would say I'm pretty positive in terms of for the people, especially in this panel, we choose to be a responsible way. We choose to be an institutional approach because it's sustainable, responsible, right? Regulation, why I mentioned that is when the regulation coming to also give us the so-called regulatory clarity. We know what can be done, what cannot be done. And also in favor of those guys choose this approach. Think about it is when regulation comes in, means you can apply for license, but on the other side is it make very clear you don't have license, you cannot operate. You cannot operate. Before license, everybody can operate. So it's always the regulation coming, the pattern. So when the regulation coming in without license, you cannot do it. So that will be the trend. So I would say those unregulated activities, the room will be smaller. The room will be smaller. And the room for the regulated part will be bigger. But again, I want the regulation also be friendly, right? Also be market-driven and friendly to support innovation, not just regulation coming here to constrain. Regulation coming here to share also promote. So I just contribute these 2 points.
Thank you, Henry. And what about you, Thomas? From the perspective of an asset manager, when finding partners to work with, the distributors, tokenization providers, like how do you assess some of these regulatory compliance that your partners have?
Yeah, I think it's very important to work very closely with regulators, because regulators, they need inputs, right? That's why they have so many sandboxes. In Singapore, you have Guardian. In Hong Kong, we have the Ensemble and the e-Hong Kong Dollar Plus, those type of sandboxes. So engage with the regulators and early and closely. I think that's very important. So we have a constant dialogue with different regulatory bodies in Hong Kong, and I personally attended a few chief executive policy units meetings to give the inputs to the whole Web3 ecosystem roadmap in Hong Kong. So I found that they are very open-minded, believe it or not. A lot of you think maybe they are very restricted on certain products and very conservative on certain areas. But you also need to think about it. If it's a retail product or it's a retail market, they need to protect the individuals, right? So that is very important to engage and communicate. And the second is to also learn from the global policies, right? In Europe, you have MiCA. It's already launched, and a lot of firms are adopting MiCA in their certain license and expansion. And the US, you will have the Stablecoin Act, and you have the SEC just give the clarification of what is stablecoin, what is a meme coin, what is security token. So they have been giving the clarification. So constantly tracking those information and then share with your local regulators is also important. They also want to know what industry participants are thinking about different regulations, and then try to learn from the parts that is can be massively adopted, and learn that those elements, and then try to input into your local regulators framework. And I think it's very important. And lastly, is working with someone who has global compliance and legal framework knowledge, right? That's why the product we're working on is with Standard Chartered Bank. They have their legal and compliance globally, right? They understand the different jurisdictions and different regulations, so they can help us to screen out the potential weak points, so we can build a product that is solid and also can be widely distributed. So I think those are important.
Thank you, Thomas. Those are great points. And Alexander, what about you guys? You talked about getting one of the highest rated products, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you have to embrace regulation. There is no other option. So to Thomas's point, you have to contribute to local sandboxes. You have to give your input from a technology standpoint. And I think, obviously, being owned by Standard Chartered Bank, a note issuing bank here in Hong Kong, we've been involved in all the various sandboxes in Hong Kong, the stablecoin, the EHKD, the project Ensemble. We do a similar approach in Singapore, very much involved in Project Guardian. So trying to make sure that regulators can also learn from each other, which is very important. and even going beyond just those two big Asia markets, Hong Kong and Singapore. I'm following also the footprint of Standard Chartered, which is very much Asia, Middle East, Africa, and I'm engaged in regulators in Southeast Asia, in the Middle East, in Africa, on some specific discussion around tokenization of bonds, tokenization of bonds in a sukuk format for the Middle East in particular. So you have to make sure that you bring regulators aligned together, and we see the convergence in terms of regulation. Obviously, it's much clearer now what is a security, what is a payment instrument, and more you will see this type of convergence between regulators, and that will make obviously our life easier. Obviously, I hope, Thomas, you will continue to work with Standard Chartered Bank to get the guidance, obviously, but that will make our life easier, and that will help us, to my earlier point, grow the pie.
Yeah, thanks so much, Alexander, Thomas, and Henry, for such an insightful panel on RWA. Hopefully, that gave the audience some perspective from the different players within the tokenization value chain. So, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. Thanks for the. Thanks. Thank you, Henry. Yes.
Actually, thank you, Ryan, and all our panelists. We'll now take a 1-hour lunch break upstairs. Please return to the room by 1 p.m. for our afternoon session featuring stylist workshop, code along, and happy hour. Thank you, guys.
This.
Welcome back, everyone. Now we're moving into our first session in the afternoon, the Stylus Workshop. Jason, integration engineers at Offchain Lab, will guide you through the basics of Arbitrum Stylus. Please join me in welcoming Jason in leading this session.
Hello everyone, I'm Jason from Offchain Labs. I'm an integration engineer who now working on Stylus. So today our topic is about how to what is Stylus, and if you want to onboard Stylus, what you should do. Okay, let's start. So from first, if you haven't heard of Stylus, so this is main point. What is Stylus? So Stylus is a technology which can let you run both Watson language and also UAM on the same blockchain. So we have parallel VM for smart contracts. Any language can compare to Watson, then you can deploy it to Stylus. So what is a good point of if you want to use Stylus? The Stylus can have 70 times about the fast computation, and also for memory it will be super cheaper, like 1,000 times cheaper. So if you want to write some highway computation and your program need a lot of memory, so you are good to use the Stylus. Some example is about the matrix multiplex computation. So if you use that, I think you can't deploy a matrix computation on Solidity if the matrix is so large, so you will get out of gas. But with Stylus, you can do a huge computation and a super big matrix on that. Okay, besides that, I know some other blockchain also can let you to deploy Watson and the UM. But on Stylus, the Watson and the UM can communicate with each other. Like you can call UM contract from Watson program. You can also call Watson program from UAM contract. Okay, so other benefits of Stylus is because Stylus can let you to deploy program with any language which can be compared to Watson. So if you are a big fan of other language but you don't like Solidity, so this is a good point of view, so you can use it. For example, many devs from Web2 may love to use Rust or C++. So Stylus can let you to write the smart contract with those language. Okay, so if you want to get started with Rust, okay, so here we have some resource which can let you onboard easily. The first resource is our documentation. So you can find a lot of useful resource on this. We will guide you how to write a simple Stylus program one step by one step. And we also have we also have a page which is Stylus by example. The Stylus by example can give you some basic example and also some application example to write the program using Rust language. Okay, if you use the VS Code to program, there is some extension you can use, something like the Rust. Okay, so how to deploy and test? We provide some ways. If you want to build some tools with on your local laptop or on your local servers, you can deploy a new chain, new local chain on your computers. There is a page named Run a Local Dev Load on our docs. You can find it under the Run a Load page, so it will guide you to run a local load very easily. You just need one command, so you can set up your load super quick. And if you don't want to set up your load to run your stylus program, you can also use our public testnet. Our public test is Arbitrum Sepolia. This is a testnet which built on Sepolia L1. So you can just use it to deploy your Rust. Here is the RPC of our Arbitrum Sepolia. Recently, we also support the unit test without any testnet. So if you want to have your program to support the unit test, we also have the docs to guide you how to set it up. Also, I will talk about how to use the unit test tomorrow. If you are interested in about this, welcome to find us tomorrow. So let me have you get about what is Rust. Because Rust is the first language we support in stylus. So I will get you some basic point of Rust. Yeah, if you already know about Rust, so this will be super easy for you to understand. So what is the benefit of Rust? Rust is strongly typed and also is super fast, especially super fast than Solidity. So okay, so how to write a Rust language? How to define your variables? Here is the example. So every variable on Rust is immutable. So if you want to make your variable to be mutable, you need to add a mute here, just like the second one. You need to define a variable like this. If you define like this, then it's immutable and you can't change its value like this. If you want to change 6 to the variable, it will compare field. And for the data types, it's just like the Solidity. The Rust also support a lot of int types like the unsigned and signed, and you can also assign the decimal, hex, binary, or byte value to it. It's quite simple. So for the for other data types, we also Rust also supports the Boolean and also other language support. So for function is quite similar to Solidity. You can just define a function like this. It's quite simple. So for another, if you want to return value, here is the example. You need to use a row to define your return types. If you want to return an int, so you can just define like this. So here is the line which it will return the type, return the value. And if you want to call a function, it's just like Solidity, just call the function directly and it will return you the value. So how about the structs? The structs is super frequently used in stylus. So we will also talk about the structs here. The structs can be defined like this. The first one is your field name, and the second one is your field type. The struct just like the other OOP language, but some different, but not also huge difference. Like here, if you want to create a new struct instance, you just create like this, and then it will be created. So here, the struct defined here with types, but when you want to create a new instance, you need to give it true values like the 30 and 50 here. Okay, so if you want to define methods for structs, unlike other language, you need to you need to use another code blocks like this. There is a implement rectangle like this, and you can define the method inside and give it a field length self, so it can visit your struct feeds. So what about the inlams? The inlams just like I think it's quite similar to C language. So a inlam can be defined like this, and if you want to call it or use it inside a function, you can define like this, so it will match the enums and return the value like you want. About the control follow. The control follow is a feature in the Rust language, and it's quite it's quite you use for when you want to return different different value to according to the input. Like this one, you can have a match and use the control follow to the value, so it will check what the value is this, and if it has a value, then it can execute the following code. If it doesn't, it will turn into the second line of this match and will give you another code to execute. So for traits, this one is used can be used to your other structs like the OOP. So if you want to implement some function to some struct, you can use this, and this is quite powerful for can let you to define the same trait to the different struct. So like this, we have the trait subject, and if you want to implement some traits, you can just like this. Okay. So we have for the Rust, there is a macros, but macros you don't need to understand what is it. What is this? It doesn't matter if you want to write a status programming. This is how we make the status program powerful under the hook. So if you are only a beginner of the status, you don't need to understand, but you just need to understand this is running during the computer and can make your status program have some useful use case to it. We will introduce how to use this later. Okay, so back to our status Rust SDK. We design this to make it to work similar to Solidity. So if you are familiar with Solidity, we don't want you to have a lot of started to it. So you can just use it very easily to use it, and you don't even to know much about the how Rust work. You just need to know how Solidity works, then you can easily onboard the status. And the second one, we use the third-party alias to make it to support some Solidity types, types like the Solidity types, like some, because the I don't know if you have you heard about how Solidity types work under the hook. This one can make you define the Solidity types in our status program. And also we design this. If you want to write some advanced Rust code, the status can also let you to use some third-party libraries to make your program more powerful. Like you can use some PRNG or other library into your Rust program. So okay, so if you want to use the ACL, we provide the CLI to let you to start and create your status program. This line, for example, for this line, the cargo status slew, following is your project's name. So for this example, we name the program is my first contract. So You just type this and it will help you create a new program named my first contract, and it will, and you can write your code based on this. It's just like a npm initial that command. Okay, so after this, you can start to write your code. What if you finish writing your code and you want to check if your code can be deployed on our testnet or our mainnet? You can use this. You can use this command, which is cargo status check. It will give you some information about your program, like how large is your contract size, and if it can be successful deployed on our mainnet or not. If it can be deployed, it will show like this. It will show your Watson size and will give you some information about this. So for the Watson program size, it's limited to 24 kilobytes. So if your contract size larger than this, you need to split it to different program and deploy it one by one. Okay, so for now, if you want to deploy your program, here is a command for you to deploy it on our to our mainnet. So here the local host is local load. Basically, if you want to test your program, we still suggest you to run a load based on the local development. If you finish the test, then you can deploy it to the public test like that. And after you deploy it, you can just test it by how you call the Solidity contract. Then you can call the same way you call the Stylus program. We also support ABI here. Like if you want to call a contract from Solidity contract to another Solidity contract, you follow the ABI to call that. And so it's the same in the Stylus. We also support the ABI ways to call your function. Okay, so let's have a super simple introduction to how Stylus SDK works. The SDK works super easy. Here is some example if you want to assign some like the int or some you int 20 to 15.6. You can just define like this. Also, we always support some feature in the Solidity program, like the address. The address type is not supported in the primitive Rust language, but we add some feature to this, so it can let you to define the address like this. So for the variables, we have 3 types of variables, just like Solidity in our Rust SDK. The first variable is local variable. The local variable is defined within a function body and is stored in the memory. The memory in Stylus is very cheap, so you don't need to worry too much as you define the variables in Solidity. The memory is much more cheaper than Solidity. So for the stable variable, because the stable variable is still stored on-chain, so the cost of the stable variables is the same as UM smart contract, but we will find some way to reduce it maybe in the future. And the third variable is a global variable. The global variable is like some block time or block timestamp or block number and chain ID like that. You can get it in our Rust SDK. Just you get it in Solidity smart contract. Okay, if you want to define a new smart contract. So here is a way to define it. To define the states of the smart contract, you can define like this. Those types are like this. The storage pool is the pool in Solidity program, and the owner is just like that. You can define like this. But to remember, if you want to make it as a Solidity storage, and if you want to make some OB code to it, like the S store or S load, those type are needed to define under the storage macros. And also here is the entry point. The entry point is to tell your compiler to let it know this is the start of your contract. And if you want to define your contract function, you need to define like this. So this way is for you to define public function inside your contract. Here it is. So, but you need to make sure that the lamp here need to be the same here. For example, if you want to define a counter here, you shouldn't write it as a contract, but you need to write it as a counter, like this. And then your function can get access to it very easily. So okay, maybe it's hard to understand just by slide. So I will show you how it works in the code. Okay, here it is. Let's get started with a super simple smart contract. This contract we name it as a counter, so it just has one state, which is count. So if you want to get access to the count, you can get it like this. There is self and dot count, and then get it by the function name get. But this depends on which type of storage you want to get. If you want to get the string, you should call get str function here. But most of those stable storage, you just use get to get it. So if you want to set a new variable to your state, you can call the set here, and it will help you to set the verb, set the new value to this state variable. You can see here is the way that to tell your compiler or your runtime if it's executed successfully or not. If it executes successful, then you need to write OK here, and if you don't return anything, just give it none here is okay. Okay, so if you want to increase it just like this, you call the inc method here and give it and it will get this and set the value here, so it can be set successfully. Okay, so this is quite a simple program. So if you want to write some more difficult, more powerful program, like if you want to use mapping in stylus, here is the way we show you how to define it. Of course, we have two ways to define your variables. The first way is just like what I introduced is this by the Rust native way. So you define a struct here, and you give it a storage macro here, and it will know this is a stylus program here, and you can define the state variables inside the struct. But if you are more familiar with Solana sorry, Solidity language. So here is the way to define it, like this. If you want to define it like the Solidity ways, here is the way. So define like this is quite similar to how Solidity defines the variables. Like the mapping here, you just name the mapping as my map, and then here is the type that the mapping store. Just like this. Those two ways are similar to each other. You can just find a way you are much more familiar to. Okay. So how about you want to get the value from a mapping? Here is the way to get. It's just like the how you get the variables in other primitive states. You just need to call the get function and give it the ID of the map, the key of the map, and it will give you the result. Okay, so what about the listed map? Because listed map is super frequently used in Solidity, like the NFT or ERC20 smart contract. So here is a way to define. Here is a way to get and set the listed mapping here. It's quite different from how you get it in Solidity. So you need to get twice of the mapping here. The first case is to get the lex mapping inside your listed mapping, and the second one is to get your value here. Okay, so how to set it for the mapping? You need to get a setter here. The setter here is to, if you want to set a value to a key of the mapping, you need to first to call the setter here. So the setter here will give you a variable state here, state to you, and then you try to call the set here. So you can set the new value to your to your mappings. For how it works under the hood, under the Stylus SDK, I will introduce this in our third day workshop. If you are interested about this, welcome to join us on Wednesday. About how to set a new value to the listed mapping, it's quite similar to the normal mapping. You need to get trials of the setter and then finally set it, fit the value to it. Okay, so this is how mapping works here. And for other advanced usage or like encoding and hashing, we encode this. If you want to encode a new encode multiple variables into 1 byte, you need first to let your compiler know which types you need to encode. Like here, it will encode those five types together. So you need to define here, and then you get your variables here and call the ABI encode sequence. Then it will give you the encoding. And for hashing, you just call the function inside our Stylus SDK. The Stylus SDK will call the kcalc hash by the native UVM ways. It will call the pre-compare of the UVM and then give you the kcalc hash result back. Okay, so for other feature like the sending ethers. Sending ethers is quite frequently used in Solidity. So here is a way to be used in. We provide multiple ways to transfer your ethers, just like what the ways you can use in Solidity. Like for the normal transfer. for the most easiest way is just to call the transfer easiest under our Stylus SDK. It will just call the transfer to other address and with the value you set. But if you want to do it via a call with, here is also the way to call it. Just like the Solidity program. Just use the call and with the value here. Then with the long bytes here, and you can just send the either to the target address. Also, if you want to set guess limit to it because you want to avoid some hack or some other situation, you can call with the guess amount you define. You customize it. Okay, so other ways is just like just like this, and this is how we sending users to different address. If you and those examples are under our Stylus by example page. If you want to learn more about how to use the Stylus, you can go to visit our website. Here is the website to visit, and you can get much more information on this. So let's introduce some usage of the unit test. The unit test is quite like other tests in Rust. First, here is our example program. Here, we still use the counter program to make this example. So the step of this contract is only number. We define this use the solidity ways. And get and you want to get a number, you just get here, and here is some method to this program like the add number and add from the message value like this. Okay, so if you want to write a unit test to this contract, you can define a unit test here, and then right under the test, each function is a unit is a single unit test here. Like this, if you want to test it, you need to first to get a default test VM here, and then create your contract instance here by from my method to get to deploy to get the contract inside the test VM, and then you can call the function of this contract. After you call the function of this contract, you can use a set to make sure your output is the same as your expectations. So here is the way, and we not only provide how to interact with the smart contract, but we also provide some the way to test the logs here and the mock call and the call here. If you want to learn more about the Stylus test, we suggest you to visit our this. You can take a picture here, and we suggest to write. To write to read through this link, and it will give you much more information about how you want to use the unit test and something more. Okay, here is how the Stylus SDK codes write in your program. Okay, so you can also test your Stylus program on using the Foundry CLI tools. You can call your call your program by through the Forge CLI tools. You can get the Forge here like this. After you download the Foundry, allows you to call your contract deployed on chain, and you can call it just like what you call them on Solidity. Okay, so that is the topic I provided today. And if you want to learn more about how Stylus work, here are some resources you can use. You can take a picture here if you are interested in about how it works here, and if you want to write some more program in Stylus, you can welcome to contact me, and I will give you some more information here. So thanks.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm just going to wait for the slides to change. Yeah. Thank you. Was that Alienware? Very nice. Oh, no, it's a dragon. So I have one question. Who's brought their laptop with them today? Raise your hand if you have a laptop. Awesome. Great, because you're all going to do some programming if you want to participate. This is very much a hands-on coding exercise, so I'm very excited. But I'll wait till this pops up. How many engineers does it take to change a laptop? It's a nice laptop, though. Oh, well, let me check what time it is. 2 o'clock.